What is up, you guys? It is Breyonna. So the other night I was over on Beauty Bay's website, late night shopping, looking through the eyeshadow palettes, which I don't know if you're like this too, but late night shopping for me is extremely dangerous for my wallet, especially makeup shopping. I'm one of those people, I am more inclined to spend money late at night than during the day. So for me, late night shopping is not a good thing. But when I was going through their eyeshadow palettes, I saw this beautiful one called Book of Magic. And I just absolutely fell in love with the packaging. It kind of gives me like witchy, like tarot card vibes. I don't know if you guys feel like that too. But it just has like the coolest look to it. But also the color story is exquisite. Like, it is so cool and fun. Like, to me, this is a really underrated color story. We have like these really cool blues in here, some really awesome purples, and even some unique little shimmer shades mixed in. However, before we test out this little baby right here, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and also give this video a like. And if you'd like to check me out over on my Instagram page or my TikTok, it is at Breyonna as well. As always, the first thing that I'm going to do is prime my eyelids using my ABH eye primer, because you guys know I am way too obsessed with this stuff. I'm putting, yay amount on the back of my hand. I probably applied a little too much. And then I'm just going to take this fluffy little pinch blending brush and tap it all over my eyelid up to my brow. So the first shade I want to go in with is this really pretty minty color called Wish. And I'm just going to be taking it in my crease using this brush from Anastasia. It's an 826. But ooh, she has a lot of pigment for being a pastel. I mean, like, look at that, like as a one dip. Like, ooh, she's pretty. This almost kind of reminds me of the pastels in the Mattes palette from Beauty Bay, because those ones are also fairly pigmented right away. And I'm just going to do a second layer just to see if we can kind of like slightly build it up. I mean, you can, but honestly right away you just get so much pigment, you wouldn't really have to build it up if you didn't want to. I'd probably only build it up if you are just using this color and maybe like a shimmer shade. Otherwise you could probably pass. So the next shade that we are going to be going in with, just to deepen things up a little bit, is this kind of like seafoam green shade called Bewitched. And I'm just going to be applying this into my crease using this little brush from Lash. I think it's called a Crease brush. Yeah. But I really like this brush. But again, I'm just applying it into that crease just to get like a little bit more definition. And then after it's in my crease, I'm just doing these little circular motions to blend it up into that minty color. But I mean, for a one dip though, that's actually really good. I'm going to go in with a second layer though, to see if we can build it up. Oh yeah, so if you want it to look like it does in the pan, do 2 layers. Because honestly, the first layer of this shade isn't like super pigmented. But again, it's not giving me any harsh lines. And I would definitely rather, have to build up my shadows than to have to deal with harsh lines, because I hate having to deal with those. Especially with blues, like, they can be a complete nightmare. So I'm just going to build it up again, but honestly, like, there's just something so inspiring about the color story of this palette. Like, I don't know if it's because I'm really in, like, a blue and purple mood lately, or maybe just because it has just a really cool vibe to the packaging. But every time I have been looking at this palette before, trying it now, I've been like, ooh, I really want to do, like, a blue look with it, and maybe the next time after that I want to do, like, a purple look. And I don't know, like, it's one of those color stories for me. I keep on looking at it, and I just plan all these really fun looks in my head. Because I mean, like, there's a lot of cute palettes out on the market, but a lot of times it's like, oh, like, I just want to do like maybe like this type of look with it, and then I'm on to the next thing. But this one, I don't know, like, there's something about it that just really kind of like sparks my attention. So now we're going to go in with this dark blue shade called Curse. I'm really curious to see how this one works, because I have tried really good dark blues from Beauty Bay and other ones that were kind of bad and a little bit on the patchy side. So it's going to be really interesting to see if this one's going to be good or if it's going to give a lot of harsh lines. And I'm just going to be taking it on this brush from Anastasia. This is a A25. And again, I'm just popping this baby right in there. So far it looks a little bit on the sheer side, which isn't bad because I don't mind a buildable formula. I know not everybody's into it, but personally I do prefer it with darker shades. Let's go in with a second layer, kind of see what's up. Ooh, I think this one's going to be promising. Oh yeah, like, look at that. She's really nice actually. A little bit more on the buildable side though, but again, it is super smooth looking. And I'm also going to like wing out my eye look today. So I'm taking it in my crease and then like kind of like flicking out this outer edge following right underneath my natural brow bone. If you've never done this type of style before, you can take your brush and just really round out right underneath that bone. Dang, I just can't get over like how nice this shade is applying, because again, like some of the dark blues I've tried from Beauty Bay, like they were a nightmare. Like I've tried out the Sunset Horizons palette once, and the blue in that palette just, like she was so hard to work with. However, the one in the Bright Mattes palette, that one's actually really nice. So this is kind of where I have the look right now, you know, very dark, but at the same time super bright. I don't know, I think it's turning out really cool. But off camera though, I am going to cut my crease into like one of those like winged out ones, and I'm just going to be using my ABH eye primer. So since I've been really obsessed with like doing a liner accent when doing this floating cut crease technique, I'm going to show you guys how I do it. So I'm going to take like a scrap piece of paper. This is kind of like a thicker piece of paper. You can use like a sticky note if you want. Personally, I don't like to use tape because we do not like premature wrinkles. But I'm just going to take this piece of paper, line it up next to the corner of my eye, and since it is paper, you do want to be a little bit careful, and kind of place it where I would do a winged liner. So what I'm going to do is take that piece of paper and hold it with my left hand because this is my left eye, and I'm just packing down this shade called Cursed, that dark blue that we just used earlier. And I'm just going to be packing it down using this little shader brush from ColourPop. It's an E26. And again, like when I'm doing this, I'm like really pressing it down. And when you do this, as you can see, when you remove it, you get a really nice crisp line. And again, I do want to leave about 1/8 of an inch gap between this dark blue and the cut crease. So we have like this little white line that's about like 1/8 of an inch thick. I'm just gonna warn you, you definitely have to trust the process with this look, like trust me on it, because in the beginning it's gonna look real ugly and gnarly and you're gonna be like, Breyonna, this looks terrible, like why are we doing this? It looks horrendous. And then at the end you'll be like, girl, I look really cute. You know what I mean? So you just wanna be a little bit mindful of it. Like if you feel like you have to watch this look at any given point of doing it, you're doing it completely correct. So now we're going to start working on this like inner portion of the lid. So I'm going to go in with this really gorgeous shimmery kind of like seafoam green shade called Spell. And I'm just going to be taking this shade on a flat shader brush. Personally, I don't dampen my brush when I use Beauty Bay shimmers just because they kind of have like a creamy consistency. You know, if you've ever tried out a Super Shock shadow from ColourPop, it kind of has like that creamy like gel-like consistency when you touch it. And Beauty Bay's shimmer formula feels exactly like those. The difference is that the ColourPop ones are in like a little pot, whereas these ones are like in the full pan. But I'm just going to be applying it to the center third of my lid. Like that is a really pretty color. Because I mean, like look at that, like it has just so much dimension to it. It's also really easy to apply. And again, when I am applying this shade, I am leaving a little bit of a gap, like that 1/8 of an inch. And then afterwards, I'm just going to go back in with that brush that we applied the dark blue with no additional on the brush. And again, like tap out the edge between the two. So for the inner third of the lid, I'm just going to go in with this kind of like greenish, almost like taupey shade called Crystal. You could go in with the shade Moonlight, but honestly, I just think this one looks so cool. So I thought we would use it instead. And I'm just taking it on a flat shader brush, a different one than what I just used. Ooh, that is actually a really cool color. It's kind of like a brownish tone with like neon green like reflex. It's really unique. Kind of reminds me of that brown pigment that has like green in it that everybody went wild for years ago. And it's also like super sparkly and glittery. And I'm just kind of like taking whatever's left on my brush and like finessing it into that kind of like seafoam green that we just used. Just so we don't have any chunky weirdness. But yeah, like this one's actually really sparkly. You don't even have to build it up either. And as you can see, I'm still leaving that 1/8 inch gap right here in the center as well. I don't know, I think this is turning out to be a cute little blue moment. I love the colors that we've used so far, but off camera though, I am gonna like clean up underneath my eyes because I did get like a little bit of fallout from those shimmer shades as well as that dark blue. And I'm also, you know, going to apply like my complexion products, liner, lashes, stuff like that. And then afterwards, I'll be right back to finish up the look. Do you guys ever have your eye just like randomly start watering for no reason while you're doing your makeup? Because this one for me right now is like watering like crazy. And it's not even like I did like eyeliner and like poked my eyeball or like got the lash like in there kind of weird. It's just doing it for no reason. I swear though, if it messes up my eyeshadow, I'm not gonna be happy. But now we're gonna start working on the lower lash line. And what I'm going to do is mix that matte seafoam green with that dark blue into like a 1-to-1 ratio. And then I'm just going to take this combo on this brush from Profusion. It is a ES6. It's just like a little tiny blending brush. And I'm just going to be smoking out my lower lash line, doing these back and forth motions. And now for the inner corner highlight, I'm just going to go in with this super icy white shade in the palette called Moonlight. And then using this brush from Profusion, I'm just going to be packing this in my inner corner, and I'm hoping that it's like a blue iridescent. Oh yeah, that's actually really pretty. And the brush I'm using is an ES4. And I'm just going to do a second layer, just to make it like super spicy. Oh yeah. No, she is blinding. Again, like Beauty Bay has some of the best shimmer formulas. Like they're just so good, and like you can see like they're just like really metallic. Like if you love a good shimmer that's like extra and like super blinding, you really need to try out their shimmer formula. I'm trying out a new shampoo right now and my hair is just not fully cooperating with me yet, but at the same time I like how sleek it's looking. But I gotta say, like overall though, I really love this eyeshadow look. Like I think it turned out really fun, and at the same time it kind of gives me like winter vibes in a way, and maybe that's because it's just a blue eyeshadow look, because I don't know, like it just kind of reminds me of winter, and I think it just turned out really fun. So let's talk about the eyeshadow formula, and the mattes in here are very pigmented, but at the same time I wouldn't say they're like a pressed pigment where they're like instant payoff right away. You know, you have to do about 2 to 3 layers to get them to look like they do in the pan, which honestly I don't find a big deal. And if you're a beginner, I don't think you're gonna struggle with this formula either, because like I would apply it, do like a little couple circles, and I was already blended out, and even with a deeper shade in here it didn't give me any harsh lines or any issues. As for the shimmers in here, they are definitely the star of the show out of the whole palette. Like they are just so creamy and so intense. I mean, like seriously, like look at this. I'll show you guys like what I mean. But that is like me barely putting my fingers in the pans. But like look at this. Like do you guys see like how buttery and metallic they are? Like they are so cool. I really hope that my camera is doing them justice, because in person they have like this beautiful like wet metallic glittery finish to them. But again, like if you're somebody that likes those really intense metallic super glittery shimmers, you will fall in love with Beauty Bay's shimmer formula. Like hands down one of the best shimmer formulas I have ever used. But I will say, if you're somebody that doesn't like those wet metallic shimmers, or if you're somebody that has a lot of texture to your eyelids, you probably won't like their formula because of it. But if you do use their shimmer formula, I definitely just recommend going right in, you know, not wetting your brush beforehand. I find that I just get a little bit better of color payoff, as well as it's just a little bit easier to apply. And also their shimmer formula kind of reminds me of ColourPop Super Shock shadows. So honestly, you can use a brush or your fingers and you get the exact same kind of payoff. So when it comes down to it, would I recommend this palette to you guys? And honestly, I cannot recommend this one enough. If you love the color story of it, or if you're looking for a really nice blue eyeshadow formula, I think you're going to be really happy with this palette overall. Because again, like the mattes in here were very easy to work with, also beginner friendly, and they're just really nice quality. And even the shimmers in here, like again, like they are just so sparkly and intense on the eyes. I'm just saying though, this palette is literally a steal. It is $15, which I think is just an absolutely amazing price. And you get 20 eyeshadows in here, and the pan sizes are really large. You know, the names are printed on the eyeshadows. You get really cool holographic packaging and a really nice sizable mirror in here as well. But yeah, so in the comments down below, let me know what you think about this palette and if you're going to be picking it up. And also let me know which palette I should use next from Beauty Bay, because there's a lot to choose from and I don't know what you guys would like to see next. But as always though, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and also give this video a like. And if you'd like to check me out over on my Instagram page or my TikTok, it is at Breyonna as well. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!